Hello Brawlhalla fans, it's Raidhyn and I am back with an updated tier list for patch 1.7.2. Now, I made the mistake of working on the tier list kind of in isolation initially after experimenting with the patch, and I've decided that's not really the best way to do it because anything done in a vacuum just doesn't yield the most accurate of results. So what I did, since the amount of time has passed since I cut the first video, which I recorded about a week ago, and released the original tier list about a week ago, I went and I talked to a number of high-ranked players, and I went and spoke with other people in the competitive community, and what we landed on was this new tier list that I believe is a little bit more of an accurate representation. I realize that if I'm going to start making these, I have kind of the responsibility to report back both to the community and also to the devs what I think is kind of imbalanced right now, which is why I've decided to shift to an S, A+, A, and B tier list. Now, as you can see, I don't have any C or D characters because I don't think the differences are that big. However, we can talk a little bit about why I made these decisions. So right now, the most significant change is that Lucian has been moved up to S tier. And a big part of this is because Lucian is just an amazing character who's able to do a ridiculous amount of damage and is incredibly difficult to knock out compared to other members of the cast that have his speed and damage output. He has the guns and the guitars, two weapons that have amazing priority in the ranges that they're designed for, and he's just a monster. He can put you down into orange health in a matter of 4 or 5 seconds with one blades combo. It is ridiculous, and how difficult it is to knock him out just puts him a cut above the rest of the A+ characters, where you can see, with the exception of Roland, you have a bunch of high damage, high speed characters, all of which have 3 or 4 armor. So in my opinion right now, Lucian is definitely S tier, and this has been reflected by a few recent things. The first of which is, well, Kreutzberg, who won the most recent grand tournament, mained Lucian throughout the entire tournament. And whether we'd like to admit it or not, yes, tier lists are affected by tournament victories. Secondly, since the last patch, a lot of top players who were maining Hattori previously, or had originally picked up Cassidy or Scarlet to experiment with the new signature moves, are now moving over to Lucian because they understand just how powerful he is. So if you are in the top 50, you can expect some players who were maining some other characters to now swap over to Lucian. Now, I don't really know what the best way is to bring Lucian in balance. There is a lot of argument right now saying that guns are just ridiculously OP, and me personally, I think the blades right now are doing a lot more damage than they should, but that's just me. We're going to put this out there, we're going to notify the community, and then it's going to be up to the game developers at Blue Mammoth Games to decide what they're going to do about it, or if they're just going to leave him there. The other thing is that I've decided, instead of A- to move Gnash, I, and Thatch down to B rank. And the main reason for this is because after continuing to stream for another week since the initial tier list and giving away keys and talking with people, I realized that I couldn't honestly recommend that people start with any of these characters. And to me, I felt that that was because they do have glaring weaknesses for 1v1. Most of this comes from their low attack speed and the fact that at least one, if not both, of their signatures are fairly useless for 1v1. I think that these characters are going to come more in line when the signature moves set for them gets expanded with upcoming patches. You know, for instance, we saw with Queen Nai in the most recent dev stream that she is going to be getting some more movement added onto her new signature moves, and things like that may help bring them into the forefront for 1v1. But for now, I feel like they're settled down into B tier. So I know that there wasn't a long amount of time between this update and the last one, but I really wanted to make sure that I put this out there to the community so that everyone could get an accurate representation. And honestly, I feel like these things being in flux is good, and that it kind of indicates the interesting state of the game and the competitive meta, where people are constantly experimenting and finding more strengths and weaknesses in characters. As far as all of this balance stuff goes, the thing is that this is a 1v1 tier list. I think that Gnash, Thatch, and Nai are great characters in free-for-all, and honestly, I don't think Lucian has the tools that he needs to do as well in free-for-all as, say, Ada or even King Roland. It's a a 1v1 tier list, and the entire game needs to be balanced around both 1v1 and free-for-all. It can't just be focused on the competitive meta, or guess what, we're going to end up losing the fun for everybody who wants to play more casually. So I'm okay with this kind of split. I really am. And, you know, right now we have a very small pool of characters, but as time goes on and we get more legends like the upcoming Minotaur, there will be a bigger and more diverse pool of legends for you to choose to take into 1v1. But for now, this is where the tier list stands. I'm happy to be able to start doing this for the community, and from here out what I'm going to be doing is making sure that before I create a tier list for a new patch, that I'm going to be talking with other top players in the community, and also speaking with some other people who understand the game incredibly well, like Compton EMT, who's been running a lot of the community tournaments, and just making sure that I get plenty of input and insight from these other players before I go out and build a list for everyone. But for now, I hope that you found this updated information useful. Remember, if you like this video, to please hit the like button, as it helps out a great deal, and I'll see you next time for more Brawlhalla goodness.